A German shepherd pushed to the brink, collapsed under a crushing load. But what a tiny baby did next will leave you speechless and in tears. It's a story of courage, love, and a bond that defied all odds. Stick with us and let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Let's get started. A desperate whimper sliced through the peaceful countryside. 5-year-old Lily Morgan froze, her small hands clutching a dandelion. The sound came again raw, exhausted, a cry that sent chills down her spine. Lily stood in the backyard of her family's simple farmhouse, a weathered home filled with love, as her father, Thomas, always promised. But that cry wasn't love, it was suffering. She crept toward the fence, her bare feet brushing the grass, and saw him, a German shepherd, his fur caked with dirt, straining to pull a cart piled high with jagged scrap metal. His legs buckled, ribs stabbed through his matted coat, and a cruel chain harness dug into his bleeding skin. With a gut-wrenching thud, he collapsed, the cart grinding to a halt. "Dad." Lily's voice was a faint gasp. She barely spoke anymore, not since her mother walked out 3 years ago, leaving her trapped in silence. No answer came from the house where Thomas was likely battling a stubborn sink. Country music drowning out his curses. Lily's feet moved on their own, drawing her closer to the fence. The dog's golden brown eyes, clouded with pain but burning with hope, locked onto hers. It was as if he was pleading, "Help me." "I'm coming," she whispered, her heart pounding. Lily burst into the house, the screen door creaking wildly. "Dad," she shouted, tugging at Thomas's leg as he grumbled under the kitchen sink, his hands slick with grease from his mechanic work. "What's wrong, Lilypad?" His voice softened as he slid out, seeing her tear-streaked face. "Dog, hurt," she choked out, her words rare and urgent. Lily hadn't shown this much emotion since her mother's car vanished down the road. Thomas followed her outside, shielding his eyes against the sun. There by the road lay the dog, still, broken.
"At."
"Victor Lane's farm dog," he said, his voice tight.
"At."
"They don't treat him right out here." But Lily was already moving, slipping through the gate toward the road. "Lily." "Hold on," Thomas called, rushing after her. Up close, the dog's state was horrifying. Bloodied paws, open wounds, a rusted chain staining his neck red. "This is cruel," Thomas growled, reading the collar tag. "Property of Victor Lanes." The name made his blood boil. Lanes, the town's meanest loner. Lily knelt beside the dog, her small hand trembling as it touched his head. The dog didn't growl or pull away. He closed his eyes, leaning into her touch. "Jack," she said, her voice sure. "Jack," Thomas echoed, puzzled. The tag held no name, but Lily's conviction silenced him. With careful hands, Thomas freed Jack from the brutal harness. "We'll take him home, patch him up," he said. "But Lily, he's not ours to keep." Lily nodded, but her eyes told a different story. Jack was hers now. In their warm living room, Thomas laid Jack on an old quilt, the dog's breath shallow but steady. Lily brought water and the first aid kit, her face serious. As Thomas cleaned Jack's wound-storn paws, an old break healed wrong, Lily sat beside him, humming a lullaby, one Thomas hadn't heard since her mother's departure. Jack's ears flicked. His eyes locked on Lily with a trust that felt almost human, firm. Knock broke the quiet. "That's Doc Wilson," Thomas said. The old veterinarian's voice was gruff but kind. "Lane's dog, eh? I've reported that man for cruelty, but nothing sticks without proof." As Doc Wilson worked, cleaning wounds and giving shots, Jack stayed calm, soothed by Lily's humming. "Incredible," the vet said. "This dog should be lashing out after what he's endured, but he trusts her completely." Lily wouldn't leave Jack, even as night fell. Thomas found her asleep on the sofa, curled around the dog, her face soft and peaceful, a sight he hadn't seen in years. As he tucked a blanket over them, Lily mumbled, "He showed me, a baby." Crying in the dark, Thomas's heart skipped. A baby. He dismissed it as a dream, but her words haunted him. Morning found Lily at the kitchen table, drawing with fierce focus, Her picture showed a dark barn, a chained dog, and a tiny huddled figure, a baby. Jack's memory, she said, her voice stronger than ever. The baby cries. Jack keeps it warm. Thomas's pulse raced. He called Sheriff Cooper, relaying Lily's claims and Doc Wilson's chilling find. Jack's teeth were filed down, a sign he'd been forced to care for something or someone. The sheriff's voice was skeptical but curious. There were rumors about Lane's daughter, Melissa, pregnant, stayed with him, left without a baby. Never proven. A loud knock jolted them. "Morgan, where's my dog?" Victor Lane's voice was thick with rage, reeking of whiskey through the door. "He was half dead," Thomas shot back, barring the way. "The sheriff's involved now," Lane sneered, his voice venomous. "You and that quiet kid of yours think you're so high and mighty." Thomas grabbed Lane's collar, shoving him back. "Don't talk about my daughter." Lily stood at the stairs, her face pale but defiant. "Go back," Thomas urged. Lanes glared at her, then retreated, spitting. "Tell your kid to mind her business. Some things ain't for little eyes." His truck roared off, leaving an eerie warning hanging in the air. Lily sat with Jack, her fingers in his fur. "He's a bad man," she whispered. "He hurt the baby too." "What baby, Lily?" Thomas pressed, his voice tight. She drew again. "Jack, a baby, a chain in a barn." "Jack showed me in dreams," she said. "The baby's cold, hungry. Jack tries to keep it warm." Thomas, a practical man, felt unnerved by her certainty. He called Sheriff Cooper, sharing the drawings. "Sounds far-fetched," the sheriff said, "but Lane's has always been trouble. I'll check his place, but I need more for a warrant." Doc Wilson called next, his voice urgent. Lane's was ranting about getting his dog back. And Jack's teeth, they were filed to care for something. Maybe a person. Lily's dreams might be real. Lily's voice cut through. "Jack needs to go back, not forever, just to show us the baby." Her new drawings showed Jack leading them to a barn hidden in trees. Thomas's instincts screamed to trust her. "Call the sheriff first," he said. "We can't go alone." Sheriff Cooper arrived, his boots heavy on the porch. He listened. To Lily's story, her drawings spread on the table. "Your girl started talking again because of this dog," he said, impressed. "More in a day than in years," Thomas confirmed. Cooper knelt beside Lily. "You say Jack showed you a baby in a barn?" "Cold, crying," she said. "Jack keeps it warm." "I'm checking Lane's property," Cooper decided. "I can't search deeply without a warrant." "Off the record. This dog might know something." A muffled cry outside made them freeze. Lane's truck sped past, dust swirling. "He's watching us," Thomas said, chilled. Lily's voice rang clear. "He'll hurt the baby. We have to go now," Jack barked, sharp and urgent, as if agreeing. "I can't take you along," Cooper said, torn. "Then go," Thomas urged. "We'll stay." But Lily insisted, "Only Jack knows where." Thomas felt the weight of her words. "Promise you'll stay close, Lily. At any trouble, we leave." "Promise," she whispered. Thomas drove down a rutted logging road, Lily's voice guiding him. "Past the creek left at the dead tree," she said, as if Jack were speaking through her. The forest thickened, eerily silent. "Stop," Lily said at a rusted bridge. "We walk now?" Thomas carried Jack, his bandaged paws too tender for the path. Lily led, Jack whining softly, growing restless. After a tense hike, a sagging hunter's cabin loomed through the Tressonot. Lily's barn, but close enough too. Raised goosebumps. "Hello?" Thomas called, his voice swallowed by the stillness. Jack strained, desperate. The cabin's back door hung open, and when Thomas set him down, Jack bolted inside. "Jack," Lily cried, starting forward. "Stay here," Thomas ordered, heart pounding inside. Jack's excited barks echoed from a back room. Thomas stepped in, the air heavy with mildew and a sour stench. In a dim corner, Jack stood by a crude wooden cradle nudging a bundle of blankets. A faint, heartbreaking cry broke the silence, a baby's cry. Thomas's breath caught. The baby was tiny, her face red with hunger, skin dangerously cool. Jack nuzzled her, his bloody paws staining the floor. "Daddy." Lily's voice trembled from the doorway. "Stay there," Thomas called, wrapping the baby in a cleaner blanket. She was featherlight, barely clinging to life. They rushed to the truck. Thomas cradling the infant, Lily beside him, Jack limping. Behind, eyes fixed on the baby, as Thomas opened the truck door, a voice growled, "Don't move." Victor Lanes emerged from the trees, a rifle in his hands. "That's mine," he snarled, nodding at the baby. Thomas shielded Lily. "She needs a hospital, Victor. She's dying. She's fine," Lane spat. The dog watched her. "A dog isn't enough," Thomas said, voice shaking with anger. "Where's her mother?" Lane's voice cracked. "Gone. Left her with me, my own daughter. I checked on her, brought food. The dog kept her safe." "Safe? For 3 months in a cabin?" Thomas's disgust boiled over. Sirens wailed faintly, closing in. Lanes raised the rifle, panic flashing. "You called the cops." "I didn't," Thomas said. "Hands up." "But they're here." Jack moved, placing himself between Lanes and Lily. Lanes aimed at him, finger twitching. Thomas lunged, tackling him. The rifle fired, the shot deafening, splintering a tree. They grappled in the dirt, Lanes fighting like a trapped animal. "Daddy." Lily screamed. "Stay in the truck," Thomas yelled, dodging a wild punch. Another shot hit the truck's tire. Sharif Cooper's voice boomed. "Drop the weapon." Lanes struggled, but Jack leaped, his weight knocking the rifle free. Cooper subdued Lanes, cuffs clicking. "You okay?" Cooper panted. Thomas nodded, breathless. "The baby she needs." "Help now," Cooper radioed for an ambulance. Lanes slumped, muttering, "She's my granddaughter. All I got left." At the hospital, paramedics rushed the baby away, her tiny cries fading down the hall. Lily sat in the waiting room, Jack's head in her lap, both weary but unyielding. A nurse cleaned Jack's paws, whispering, "This dog's a hero." Hours later, a doctor's voice brought relief. "She's stable. Malnourished, hypothermic, but she'll pull through." Thomas exhaled, tears stinging. "Thank God." Lily's voice was soft but sure. Jack knew. He always knew where she was. And then, the moment that left everyone in tears. In the nursery. The baby cleaned, fed, wrapped in a soft blanket, opened her dark blue eyes. They fixed on Jack, who stood by her bassinet, tail wagging gently. Her tiny hand flexing toward him, as if saying thank you. Nurses wiped their eyes, stunned by the bond between the infant and the dog who'd kept her alive. Weeks later, the Morgan home was alive with change. The baby, named Hope by her mother, Melissa, grew stronger in the hospital. Melissa, in rehab, chose to let Thomas foster Hope, wanting her daughter to have a better life. Thomas welcomed her calls, believing Hope deserved her mother's love. Even from afar, Jack, healing but still vigilant, stayed glued to Lily. Lily, once silent, now spoke freely, her voice a miracle. Thomas began adopting Hope, their home opening, to social workers and new possibilities. But danger lingered. Jailed in awaiting trial, made threats, vowing to reclaim what's his. Sharif Cooper promised protection, but fear crept in. One night, Jack's fierce barking woke Thomas. A flashlight swept the yard. The kitchen door splintered, and Lane stood there, knife in hand. "Get out of my way, mutt," he snarled at Jack, who growled, shielding the house. "Nothing here's yours," Thomas said, stepping forward. Lily appeared, clutching Thomas's phone. "I called the sheriff," she said, voice unwavering. "He's coming." Lanes hesitated, knife wavering. Jack stood firm, protecting Lily. Sirens screamed, lights flashing. Lanes dropped the knife, defeated. "She's all I got," he whispered. As Cooper cuffed him, "You won't hurt them," Lily said, her hand on Jack. 3 months later, the Morgan house was a haven. Hope, now a giggling 7-month-old, reached for Jack's tail on her playmat, the dog, patient and proud. Lily, 6 and bold, taught Hope to clap, her laughter filling the air. Their backyard, once plain, now had a fence and playhouse gifts. From a community moved by their story, the world took notice. Dog Saves Baby went viral. Donations poured in. A rescue fund named for Jack helped abused dogs, and Hope's adoption neared. One autumn evening, Thomas sat on the porch swing, Lily nestled against him, Jack at their feet. Hope's soft breaths hummed over the baby monitor. "Jack dreams happy now," Lily said. "Of us, saving others." "Smart kid," Thomas said, kissing her head. "Jack taught me," she replied. "Love's the smartest thing, even when it hurts." Jack's tail thumped, his eyes calm. Thomas looked at his family. Lily, speaking, Jack healed. Hope, there's... From pain and silence, they built something unbreakable. Love, hope, a new start. That's the story of a dog who wouldn't quit. A girl who found her voice, and a baby whose tiny reach brought them all to tears. If this moved you, share it with someone who needs hope. Tell us in the comments where you're listening from. Keep believing in miracles.